What's going on, Graveyard Shift family? It is your fearless shift leader, Dalen Spratt, clocked in for another amazing shift. Family, tonight, I have a story for you. It took a lot of research for this one, and shout out to our team for pulling together this story and sending it on over. Without y'all, I could not. And for that, I am grateful for you. Y'all, this is about a woman named Roberta Elder. This woman was born in like 1909. Let's give it 1909, y'all. Early 1900s. Black woman. Y'all, she is known as one of the first female serial killers. I know what you're thinking. A black woman? That don't fit the usual profile. But yes, this woman killed literally 14 people. But what makes this story even more wild is the fact that she killed these people and they were all pretty much in her family. Now, a lot of people speculate that she was killing people for insurance money, because after doing a lot of research, they end up finding out that all the victims that passed away, she was on their insurance policy. But here's the kicker. This was like in the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s. Them insurance policies was only $20. Y'all, $20, $30, $50. I think the most she ever got from one of her insurance policies was $500. Now, back in the day, that was a lot of luce. That was a lot of money. But dang, the work you had to put into it. That's insane. That's insane. Y'all, this lady, Roberta Elder, let me just take you back to the beginning. Where did she started? Look, so Roberta's mother and father had 15 kids. Roberta was like number 11 out of 15. So you can only imagine being, poor in the South. Her family was her parents were literally just removed from slavery. You know what I'm saying? So she herself wasn't too far removed from slavery and the effects thereof it. So we're talking about dirt poor, a lot of mouths to feed, and just no telling what that household was like growing up. So much so that Roberta actually dropped out of school at the age of 11. So she taught herself to read, write, all of that stuff, but she didn't continue school after that. But at the age of 15, Roberta got married. But that ain't really far-fetched back in the day. Back in the day, it wasn't far-fetched for you to get married in your teenage years. But Roberta did get married at the age of 15. She married a gentleman by the name of Willie Thurman. So Roberta married a gentleman by the name of Willie Thurman. And Willie and Roberta, they end up moving in together, getting married, moving in, and they had a daughter. Now, here's the thing. Their very first daughter was a child by the name of Lily. But Lily ends up passing away as an infant. So early on into young Lily's life, she passes away. And law enforcement has actually accredited Lily's death to Roberta and saying that is, in fact, her very first kill was her young daughter named Lily. This would be their youngest child, another daughter who was named Willie Mae. But then on April 14th, 1931 at 10 p.m., Willie Mae Thurman was found dead at 25 days old. This is now the second child of Roberta who has died in the infant stages. Little Willie Mae was only 25 days old when she passed away. Her cause of death at the time was put as acute bronchial pneumonia. Acute bronchial pneumonia. Now, soon after Willie Mae passes, Willie and Roberta end up getting a divorce. That's 2 of their children that have died since they've been married. And I guess, Willie just couldn't take it. So he ended up filing for a divorce from Roberta. But soon after that, Roberta didn't stop. They didn't stop no show for Roberta. Because soon after her divorce from Willie, Roberta marries a guy named John Woodard. Now, Willie and Roberta had a son in between the 2 daughters that they had, a son named James. So once she got a divorce from Willie, she ends up taking her son James and moving in with her new husband, John. Follow me here. It's a lot of names because she had a lot of bodies. So now in this new house, it is Roberta, her new husband, John, and her son from her previous marriage, James. Now, in 1938, old John gets admitted to the hospital. Grady Hospital, to be exact, which is still here in Atlanta, Georgia. It's the #1 trauma unit in the area. You see, old John was very, very sick. And 2 days later, he ends up dying. They listed the cause of death for John as possible chronic nephritis and uremia. John was only 36 years old. Now, 4 months later, after John passes away, her son James from her previous marriage, he gets sick. And so doctors start treating James for influenza. They thought little James was being sick from influenza. So a doctor ends up seeing James alive on, say, June the 12th. But by June 26th, literally 2 weeks later, James died too. I don't think y'all keeping up with me. Let's just recap. Roberta has now lost 2 daughters. She has lost a second husband, and she has lost a son. That is 4 people she has lost in a span of roughly 7 years in her life that she is accused of murdering. Let's keep the story going. Now, after little James passes away, she has no kids and she has no husband. She's been divorced once and she's killed one, and all of her kids are dead. So Roberta is free as a bird. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying that's what she did. But knowing Roberta, she couldn't be single for too long, y'all. That paper started running out. So what did Roberta do? She reverted right back to what she knew best, finding love. So Roberta ends up marrying a guy named James Garfield Crane in the early 1940s. You see, James was a widower, so he lost his wife. And he had 5 children. So James was married before, his wife passes away and leaves him with 5 children. One of his children ended up passing away. So James had 4 kids when he meets Roberta. What do you think happens? Roberta put it on him. Now here go James. James ends up marrying Roberta, and they make a home together in Atlanta, Georgia in 1941. Now, one of James's daughters is pregnant at the time. She ends up having the baby. So James's daughter and her child lives with Roberta and James in their new home. So Roberta's an excited grandmother at this point to her new step grandbaby, right? So she starts watching and taking care and loving on the baby and just being pretty much the primary caretaker of her step grandchild. Sure enough, the child ends up getting sick, and days later, the child passes away. The cause of death for this child was listed as bronchial pneumonia and general weakness. If you're keeping track, this is now Roberta's 5th victim. Then near Christmas in 1944, Roberta had a little cousin that was 3 years old. Some kind of way she convinced the mother to allow her to have the baby and to watch the baby in her house. Roberta takes in her little cousin, her 3-year-old cousin. And just like history, it repeated itself again. The little child became sick. and days later, the child passed away. Now, after losing the life of her infant child cousin, Roberta's mama come in town. She like, look, girl, it's a lot of babies dying around here. Let me come check on my daughter. She moves in with Roberta and her husband. And not too long after, a few months, her mother becomes sick. A few days later after that, her mother dies. Y'all, her mama was just 69. And they couldn't even find out how she died. Like, it came back undetermined. Like, what? That was Roberta's 7th victim. Y'all, she had 14. She had 14. Like, what are we talking about? Then in 1947, Roberta's husband, James Garfield Crane, ended up dying of food poisoning, which pretty much believed that the food was contaminated while being processed, but not by a person. That's what the record said. He was allegedly Roberta's 8th victim. Now, Roberta lives at this house in Atlanta, Georgia, all by herself that she created with this man that she had just married. Everyone's dead. Her mother's dead. This man is dead. His children are dead. She living in this house all by herself. So, Roberta starts to try to make a little money on the side. She didn't have any plausible victims at this time, so she started taking in boarders. And one of her boarders was an elderly lady by the name of Nora. You see, Nora moved in with Roberta and just lived her life. She thought she came up on something sweet, man. She had a nice house, nice size house with a sweet woman named Roberta who would help take care of her. She was fine. So then Roberta goes out and meets a family. Now, this family has a mother, a father, and they have, what is it? 4 children, I want to say. Oh, excuse me. And 5 children. Somewhere down the line, the mother becomes ill, and Roberta takes it upon herself to become pretty much the nurse for this ailing woman, this mother of 5. But as soon as Roberta came into the picture, the mother mysteriously dies from her sickness. This was in January. By May, Roberta has married this woman's husband. This is Reverend Elder, her namesake. You see, Reverend Elder was a pastor. He was just trying to live his life, take care of his sick wife, and take care of his 5 kids. So once the wife dies, 5 months later, Roberta and Reverend Elder get married. And Roberta moves pastor and his kids into the home in which she had already killed multiple people. And unbeknownst to them, their lives were about to be cut very, very short, very quickly. Now, in 1951, Mr. Elder had 2 daughters, right? Annie Pearl and Fannie Mae. Now, exactly 1 year after the death of their mother, after moving in with Roberta and their father, Annie Pearl dies of pneumonia. Literally 2 months later, Fannie Mae also dies of pneumonia. And then maybe about 6 or 7 months later, you remember that boarder, Nora, the elderly lady that Roberta was helping take care of in her house? She surprisingly passes away in that same home. If you're keeping count, now we're up to 12 victims. In August of 1952, Rev William Elder became very ill after eating bananas and cheese while at work at his construction job, right? A doctor came to look at him, and they left him there to be cared for by Roberta. Roberta claims that she treated him by giving him milk of magnesia. And literally a few days later, the doctor was called back. But by this time, Reverend Elder was dying. And he ended up dying at home that same day. The doctor now starts to get suspicious. He was like, it's been about 8 people that died in this house now. Literally. Something might be going on. It was enough for them to start exhuming the bodies of the people that passed away and running tests. And to come to find out, they found traces of arsenic in everybody's system. People start putting 2 and 2 together. Next thing you know, good old Roberta was arrested, tried, and found guilty and sent to prison for the murders that she committed. But just like the American judicial system, man, it always works kind of funny. And after doing a decent bid, she ended up getting paroled and released from jail. And in the latter part of her life, she even fought to get her rights to vote back, which she obtained. And old Roberta ends up living to 1977, where she passes away a free woman. That's wild. That's wild. And to imagine living in a house in the middle of a neighborhood in the year 2024 and not even knowing the history. That's why you got to always check out the history of where you live, because you just never know. I guarantee the people living in this house do not know that a woman in the 1940s killed almost 8 people in the house that they are currently living in. It makes me want to go check out and see if they have any stories themselves. Huh. It's crazy. What's going on, Graveyard Shift family? As you can see, we are here at the final resting place of Miss Roberta Elder. Now, Miss Elder, my name is Dalen Spratt. And what I do is I come to resting communities like this and I try to speak to those who may not have been spoken to in a very long time. But what I also do is I try to find stories of the past and try to bring new light on them in the present to all of my viewers. And Miss Elder, today you are the topic of conversation. There's been a lot of stories circulating around about you, and I think you know that. So what I would like to do is I would like to talk to you today. I'm coming in peace, love, and respect. I don't judge. I'm here to just get your side of the story if you would like to speak to me. Again, there's no pressure. There's no judgment. I'm sure you dealing or have dealt with that judgment wherever you are now. But I'm just kind of curious about your story and what happened. So, Miss Elder, Miss Roberta Elder, are you here? Miss Roberta, are you here? Okay, Miss Elder, just so I know that it's you, can you tell me your name? Do you mind saying your name for me, please? Okay. Well, Miss Roberta, that's just how I know that I'm talking to you, because I really don't want to speak to anyone else but you right now. Okay. Miss Roberta, I'm just going to assume that I'm speaking to you now. So, Miss Roberta, let's just take it all the way back. So you had 14 brothers and sisters? Your parents had 15 kids altogether? So how did it feel coming from such a large family? You hated it? What did you hate about growing up with a large family? Y'all, I don't know why it just hit me like a ton of bricks. What if that's where all of her anguish and anger stemmed from? Growing up with such a large family, maybe there was a disconnect, and which made her not be connected to her family that much because there was just so many and there was so little. And then therefore that disconnect carried over into her life, which allowed her to be able to take the lives of her family. So maybe subconsciously and consciously she was killing off what really affected her in her childhood. Let me find out. I am a spiritual counselor. A spiritual counselor. Roberta, I know I jumped into it fast. I went 0 to 60 real quick. But did that sound about right?
Thank you.
So somebody said thank you. So you was dealing with a lot? So what happened as a child? Do you feel like you were neglected? Do you feel like you were shown love by your mother and father? You said you wouldn't ask for it, or when asked for it? Did you receive love from your siblings?
Always.
So who did you have a problem with growing up? You said with men? Why did you have an issue with men? Did some man hurt you? Were you able to get any help? Somewhat. Okay, so you dropped out of school pretty early, right? So what made you leave school so early? Said parents? Okay. So then they say at about 15 you end up getting married. Now, is that someone you truly loved? So did you love the man you married at the age of 15? Oh yeah, I was trying to be fancy. I was trying to go to my notes while the box was on. Let me ask you one more time. The man you married at 15, did you have love for him? Okay, let me go to my notes real quick, family. I just want to be very, very accurate. So let me see. I just want to be very, very accurate, Miss Roberta, with your story. Okay. So at 15, you married Willie Thurman. So you married a man named Willie when you was 15, right? And that's when you had a daughter named Lily. Now, Miss Roberta, do you remember marrying Willie? What made you marry Willie then? A lot of things? So what was the main thing? The image? So soon after that, you had a baby named Lily.
That really.
Do you remember having your little girl Lily? Said of course. So unfortunately, they say little Lily passed away. Do you remember how Lily passed away? People are saying that you were the reason why Lily passed away. You may have. What made you take Lily's life? You said practicing? That was the first life that you took? Wow. Wow. So her daughter Lily was her first body that she, the first person that whose life she took. Sound like she said she was just practicing. Okay, let's see. So you and Willie also had a son named James. Then you guys moved to Atlanta. You had another daughter named Willie Mae. But then Willie Mae passed away at the age of 25 days old due to pneumonia. Do you remember your daughter Willie Mae passing away? Say you keep crying? Afterwards, yeah? So why were you crying so much about Willie Mae passing away? Did you have something to do with Willie Mae passing away? So there was a lot. Do you remember how many people you killed? Okay. So at that point, she's killed 2 of her children, or believed to have killed 2 of her children. Okay. And then after that, soon after Willie Mae's death, Willie and Roberta, you and your husband divorce, and then you marry a guy by the name of John, and you keep your son James. So it looks like Willie got away from you unscathed. Let me ask you this, Roberta. Would you have killed Willie if he would have stayed any longer? Roberta, why did you never kill Willie? Why would you kill your children but not Willie? Did you really love Willie? Okay. I think that's interesting that she killed both of their children, but not him. She allowed him to leave out in a divorce. So then she marries another gentleman by the name of John, and she keeps her son from her and Willie's relationship. She brings him to the relationship with John. Now, they then move in with John, her new husband, and in 1938, John is admitted to the hospital where he becomes very ill and he dies later on, like 2 days later. They listed his death as chronic nephritis and uremia. He was just 36 years old. So, okay, as soon as John and then Roberta get married, John becomes sick. John then dies at the hospital 2 days later. Roberta, what made you immediately kill John, but you did nothing to your first husband, Willie? Like, it's thought that you did all of this for the insurance money, which you may have, but what's the other bigger reason? The will? Well, there it is. But was the money more important than your children and husband's lives? Did it help? Okay. So then after your husband John dies, your son from your first marriage, James, becomes sick, and then he dies. Do you remember when your son James died, Roberta? So what made you kill James? Did you feel like all of these people were worth more to you dead than alive? Oh! It's in my feet. Y'all, my water bottle. Y'all, I thought somebody grabbed my foot. I forgot this water bottle was down here and it brushed up against Y'all, I don't think y'all realize my heart dropped. In that split second, Roberta had grabbed my foot from her grave, y'all. Ooh, that made my heart drop. Okay, my bad. I'm scaring myself out here. Hold on, let's get back to it. Now, James is dead. John is dead. Willie's dead. Lily's dead. Everybody is dead. Then you marry a guy named James Garfield Crane. Hold on. Okay. Okay, hold on 1 second, y'all. Okay, so then Roberta, you married a guy named James Garfield. James was a widower, so his wife died and they had 5 children, but 4 of them were living at the time. So you married a man with 4 children. Do you remember meeting and marrying James? He couldn't leave. So what made you take in James? Okay. So he had 4 children. Okay, so James had 4 children. One of his daughters gave birth to a son named Jimmy. So Jimmy lived with his mom and her parents at the time. So that was her father, James, and her stepmother, Roberta. Now, she has a baby. Roberta is now watching this baby, which is her step-grandchild, right? Roberta, the baby becomes ill. The baby becomes ill. He's treated at the hospital. He comes back home and he ends up passing away. This was supposedly and allegedly your 5th victim. This child was your step-grandson. Do you remember the passing of this little baby, Jimmy? He said, Grandma. What made you want to bring that much pain into a family? Like, you knew that would devastate a family. Why would you do that, Roberta?
Easy.
Okay, I ain't even trying to skip victims, Roberta, but your list is just long. So after you kill your step grandbaby, you took in your cousin, 3-year-old Gloria Evans. That baby, this is your cousin, your blood cousin. You took in a baby to take care of him. That baby became sick and ended up dying. And that was just 6 months later. Then your mother came to Atlanta to visit, and she died. You killed your own mama, Roberta. Roberta, I got to hear you say it. You got to tell me this, Roberta. I got to hear you say it out your own mouth. Roberta, did you have something to do with the death of your own mother? But why? Like, that money couldn't have meant that much to you. Did you get a thrill out of killing people? But why only your family? Okay, so why your mother? What made you kill your mother? You didn't experience you had? Did your mother do something growing up that made you resent her that much? Oh, it's starting to rain. Hold on, let me ask a few more questions. I'll get up out of here, Roberta. Ask a few more questions. So after you killed your mother, you killed James, your husband. Okay, so now you done killed James. And let's just skip on down. You end up marrying a man who, when you met him, he was married and had children. You end up taking care of his sick wife, who they say you killed her, and then you end up marrying her husband, her widowed husband, 5 months after the lady passes away. And then not only do you kill him, you kill their daughters. Is that pretty much sums it up? Yeah, you killed 2 of their daughters and their father and their mother. You wiped out that whole family, Roberta. Roberta, you were taking care of a married woman. You killed her, married her husband, killed him and their 2 daughters. Please give me a good reason other than money why you would do that. I'm not judging, but I just gotta know. That is diabolical. Okay, I am judging a little bit, but that's fair because that's wild, Roberta. How and why? What made you do that? Do you feel like you accomplished your goal by killing all these people? Said not really. Well, what was your goal? Y'all, it's raining. Roberta. All right, real quick, Roberta, do you have any regrets? But you end up getting out of jail. You end up getting caught and going to jail. Do you feel your sentence was fair? And you were even released from jail and able to vote again. Do you feel like you served all of your time? Yes, I do. Do you still have the urge to kill? Oh. Roberta, thank you for your time. Y'all, I can't wait to go back and hear some of these responses. It's raining now, y'all. Let me get up out of here. I hate that I had to rush the end of the interview, but I feel like we got a lot of great responses. But I feel like everything does fall back to her initial upbringing and having such a large family. But I am curious. One last question before I leave, Roberta. Out of all the groups of people that you killed, from your biological kids to your step kids to your step grandkids to the entire family that you killed, which set meant the most to you? Or which kill spree meant the most to you? Oh, wow. The box won't. Which, like it got stuck. I'm not gonna say. Can you let me know which group meant the most to you? Did you care about any of those group of people more than the others? Yeah. Who hurt you the most? Like, who did it hurt the most to kill?
Oh my God. Great.
All right. It's raining. All right, Roberta. Thank you.
You know.
Say anything else? Nah, not now. Thank you. Is there anything else you would like to say? Any regrets or remorse? All right. All right, Graveyard Shift family. I hope you enjoyed trying to get into the mind of the spirit of a killer. I appreciate the honesty, Roberta. I respect the truthfulness. Blessings to all of your family whose lives you took and the people that you affected. And yeah, may whatever judgment you have on the other side be justified. Love, love, love. All right, family. We are here at the Lincoln Cemetery in Atlanta, Georgia. And this is where Roberta's last few victims are buried. So when Roberta ended up taking care of the Elder family and taking care of Miss Willie Mae, they say she ends up killing Miss Willie Mae. And literally that was in January. In May, Roberta married Reverend Elder, who was Mrs. Willie Mae's husband, now widow. She marries him in May and literally then kills 2 of his daughters and then kills him. So the 4 members of the Elder family that were killed by Miss Roberta Elder, who's still holding his last name. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's wild. And I want to ask him how he feels about that. How does he feel about the woman that killed his entire family dying with his namesake? Well, all 4 of his family members are buried here. So I went to the front office and I checked in with them to see if they can point me in the direction of where they're buried and resting. But the problem is they are located in an area where there is no perpetual upkeep. So they told me I can't go in there, but they pointed me in the direction in which the Elder family is resting. And it would be in this area right over here. There's a lot of snakes out there. And they said that for me to go back there, I have to come back during the winter time, and you have to pay a fee, and they will escort us through the brush to the grave that we're looking for. But until then, people are not allowed to go back there. But literally, you can see the headstones. There's one right there. And there's headstones all back and through there. Oh, shoot. They got me paranoid about snakes. But where you see the little flags, the orange flags, those are headstones throughout there. So I figure the Elder family would definitely be in earshot of here. Definitely will be in earshot of where I'm standing. So I thought it'd be interesting maybe to do the spirit box session from here as close as I can get to their resting space, again, which is in this area over here. So my name is Dalen. I come in peace, love, and respect. I have been following the case of Miss Roberta Elder, and it has led me to your resting space. Mr. Reverend William, Miss Willie Mae. I understand what happened to you all was very, very tragic, but I would love to hear your final piece on it. I've already spoken to Roberta, and I've heard what she has to say. Okay, I'm gonna set up. All right, y'all. I'm very, very interested in just how this conversation could go. That's wild for one person to be responsible for taking out the majority of your family. They had 5 children. Roberta killed 2, the mother and the father. Let's get to it. Oh. Okay. Elder family. Now, I swear I heard a voice say, hey, from back in there. The only problem is there should not be anybody back up in there. Hello? Forgive the wind, y'all, if it gets too windy. Did I just hear someone's audible voice behind me?
What? You and it. I would.
Did I hear someone say hey behind me?
So.
You think so?
Did.
I did. What is the name of the person that just spoke to me?
Like it. Yeah. Can you tell me the name of the person that just spoke to me? They're right next to you. Okay. Well, I came here specifically to speak to the Elder family. So that's Reverend William Elder, Mrs. Willie Mae Elder, Fannie Mae Elder, or Annie Pearl Elder. Are any of the 4 Elder family members available to speak to me? Yeah, us. She was around.
Which member of the family am I speaking to? Miss Reverend William, are you here? Sit here. Okay. Reverend William, I know you were a pastor, so I know this may be a little different from you, or for you. The whole idea of trying to speak to spirits. But I would really appreciate it if you took the time to have a conversation with me. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions about Roberta? Wow. You said everything that has happened, something she wanted? Dang, it sounded like he got hostile when I started talking about Roberta, which rightfully so. So Mr. William, Reverend William, can you tell me, how did you guys even get introduced to Roberta? You said she was family? And it hurts? She just manipulated everyone involved, right? Said it was her spirit? I was gonna ask that. What about her was so, like, compelling? Like, what drew people to her? What was it about her, Reverend William? You said maybe you were distraught because your wife died. See? Yeah. See, that's interesting. He said maybe I was distraught. So remember, his wife was sick. They had already met Roberta. Roberta was hanging around the family. The wife got sick, and Roberta started taking care of the wife. Now, we don't know if Roberta made the wife get sick
or she just took the opportunity of the wife being sick to speed up the process of killing her. So it seems like Reverend William is saying him being distraught over the passing of his wife maybe is what drew him to the arms of the deceitful Roberta. Is that fair to say, Reverend William? Miss Willie Mae, are you here? So you're sensitive? So Miss Willie Mae, you were the first victim in your family of Miss Roberta. How did she even come about taking care of you? Did you really believe that she cared for you, Willie Mae? Do you feel like she's the reason why you even got sick in the first place? So Willie Mae, Mrs. Willie Mae and Reverend William, do y'all feel like y'all just were deceived? Do you feel like you were just taken advantage of? Like, I don't want you to feel like it's your fault, but I know it's probably hard to not feel that way when you lose everything behind one person. Like, do you feel like it was all your fault? Have you forgiven yourself? Are your two daughters here, Fannie Mae and Annie Pearl? Said we're their parents. But are they with you right now? So if you guys could do anything differently, what would it have been? You know. Keep on to ourselves. Don't open the door. But Rev, how could 5 months after your wife passed away, like, why Roberta? And Miss Willie Mae, did you feel some type of way from the other side to see your husband connecting with this woman? Now something just fell hard out of that tree directly in front of me. Maybe that line of questioning was a little bit too direct. So guys, how do y'all feel now knowing that Roberta came from a long line of people that she hurt? And you guys were the last of that trail. She got arrested after what she did to your family.
He was. This is what a lot of VooDoo candy. And that was doing. Very far.
Have you all forgiven her? You said you can't? No. I don't blame you. Have you ran across her on the other side? Does it at least feel good that all four of y'all are together? Said it helps. Okay. So if you could tell me anything about the situation, one last thing, what would it be? Well, thank you. Thank you, Elder family, for your time. Scratches. Yeah, I am scratching. I hope that we can keep your story going and keep your name alive. Thank you. Y'all, that's interesting. I think we've learned a lot about just the victims and the assailant. You know, it seems like Roberta maybe didn't get the attention that she wanted or felt like she deserved coming from a big family, and she took that out on others in the same manner. And I hate for the Elder family for them to be so trusting of an individual that it was to the demise of literally almost your entire bloodline. Y'all, these woods are active. These woods are active. Well, tell me what you think about this story. Tell me what you think about Roberta. Tell me what you think about her victims. What would possess a woman, a person, to go that far for insurance money? Was it the thrill? Was it the excitement? Was it the financial burden? Or did she just have a thirst for blood? This story's been a wild one, y'all. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Love, love, love. Catch you next time. What's up, Graveyard Shift family? Guess what? Graveyard Fest 2024. The tickets are up. The tickets are up. The tickets are up. If you will be in New Orleans October the 11th and the 12th, please come out and kick it with your Graveyard Shift family. Y'all, we have a list of events, 2 days full of events. I'm talking about we have a meet and greet. We have a haunted pub crawl. We have a cemetery bus tour. We have a VIP experience with me and Bloody Mary where we only selling 13 tickets, y'all. We get to go to her private residence and see her private collection of haunted artifacts. We're going all around the city. We're riding around with Bloody Mary herself. Y'all, what else we got going?
We have the Bloody Mary experience, midnight experience, where we're going to go to her haunted museum and we're going to be touring it and investigating it. Even having access to the apartment, y'all, where the young man took the life of the woman and actually ate her. It's one of the most haunted places in New Orleans, guys, and we have full access to it. Y'all, it's a lot. We have a luncheon with a Louisiana cuisine. I'm talking about gumbo and po' boys. On top of that, with a medium gallery reading with one of New Orleans' top psychic mediums, guys. Come on, man. Come on. What are we doing? And we got every night we got 2 investigations. This is on top of the Bloody Mary investigation. Every night we investigate in 2 locations, y'all. Y'all listen, if you're not in New Orleans on October 11th and the 12th, I don't know what to tell you other than see you next year. Love, love, love. Get those tickets, y'all.